I'm here to present the Fourways Mall, the Lilly, which is one of our entries to the Steel Awards for 2026. So as CADCON, we're particularly proud of this project. It's basically the culmination of 2 years of successful work with our clients at Fourways Mall. We started off in 2024 with the big solar project that they had, basically 60,000 squares of roof on top of their open top parking to convert it into solar, as well as to reduce to minimize the amount of water that was ingressing into the building. And over the years, we've been involved with a number of small projects at Fourways Mall. And as I mentioned, it's basically culminating in this project now. This is one of the elements that we did in one of the sections of Fourways Mall, which is known as the View. So the View basically is it's a resurgence or a rebirth of Fourways Mall. The View basically is a spectacular 100 million rand new development, which is basically a facelift of the existing buildings, and basically it gives you a spectacular view of the Fourways area, and it's one of the reasons for the redesigning or uplifting this area is to introduce and to appease the growing demand in Fourways for high-end dining and lifestyle experiences. So it has, as I mentioned, this area is called the View for the very reason it has a spectacular sweeping view of the Fourways landscape. And basically the reason why we introduced this project into the View is because it's seen as a rebirth. So the Lilly is basically a rebirth of the View, and it's a spectacular feature as you walk into the View area, and you see this. So basically, the finished product is what you see on the left-hand side, and the work in progress is one of the photographs on the right-hand side. So it's a fully tubular system that we've created here. So it's all rectangular hollow sections for the main branches that branch out of the Lilly, and they're centralized into a couple of rings, which were rectangular hollow sections as well. And basically the idea behind the Lilly is one is as you can see, it's a spectacular feature now in this new atrium, but two is to also to hide the lift shaft that's behind it. So all of this was constructed when the mall was fully operational, and it is a particular busy part of the mall. There's a Food Lovers right on the ground floor, and all the banking halls are basically in this area as well. So we, together with Concor, who is our main contractor on the project, we built a birdcage scaffolding which extended all the way up to the top. The scaffolding was probably about 20 meters high to create a platform. And on the photograph on the right-hand side, you can just see a bit of the platform, so or the top of the platform at least. And from there, we basically worked and built the Lilly from the top down. So as we completed and as the follow-on trades moved through, then the scaffolding got dismantled. So the reason why we had to prefabricate, and one of the reasons for prefabricating is really to minimize the amount of wastage on site and noise pollution on site, because as you can imagine, we had to work through the day and in certain times through the night to get this built, and the last thing you need is complaints from patrons to the Fourways Mall because of the excessive noise and excessive pollution and things falling down from the various platforms. So we're particularly proud of this project, as I mentioned. Concor was our client. MDS Architects were involved with the design of the building itself, and LNS were the with engineers involved in the project. So, yeah, look, I think there's an error there on the client. The client effectively was Fourways Mall. Flanagan and Gerard was one of the managing partners of Fourways Mall. They came to us and wanted us to get involved because, again, of the intricacies of the type of installation that needed to be done. So these are just some of the screenshots from the model. As you can see, it's particularly intricate, and the only way we could get the accuracy that's required for a build like this was to do a 3D scan. So a 3D scan was done from the outset. One was to pick up on the steelwork that we connected to in terms of the existing lift shaft, but more importantly, as we connected to the existing dome-shaped roof and all the trusses and purlins. And I think on this photograph you can see it better, or this screenshot. So everything that's in purple on top are the existing purlins, and that let's call it a orangey type color are the existing trusses. So we needed to drill into the existing purlins, we needed to clamp onto the existing trusses, and basically from there is where the new steel came in. So those hangers that you see hanging there, the items in green, that basically is what's supporting the whole Lilly structure. So we started off with the blue ring on the outside, and moved to the pink ring on the inside. And then once we had those in, then we could start connecting let's call it the leaves of the Lilly from the hangers through to the ring, and then obviously all the way down the lift shaft. What we also did as well, as you can kind of make it out on this graphic, is on the perimeter of this complete atrium, we also ended up putting steel, let's call it window frames, with vertical bars to close off some of the natural light coming into the atrium. So they wanted it to reduce the amount of light coming in, and you'll see from some of the photos that I'm going to show you, it just completes the whole picture with the cladding that was put onto those window frames. So again, you can see from the accuracy of the 3D model, we could accurately draw in or model in all the existing connections that we connected into, and you can see on the blue on the top, that's basically the window frames that we connected as well. And then on top of that is the hangers, which connect from the existing purlins, which we had to accurately measure and drill to make sure that the actual hangers and the rings and the whole Lilly itself was in the right place. And you can also see the existing trusses that we connected to as well, where we basically had to clamp to the existing trusses. So in terms of project value, the project was about 5 million. This portion of the project, it's tubular sections, primarily rectangular hollow sections. And again, this is another one of our retail projects that we have featured here. So in terms of written motivation, as I mentioned, it is centrally located in the Fourways region. The Lilly itself symbolizes rebirth. Its iconic feature, and not only adds beauty, but also showcases innovation, artistry, and repositioning of the precinct as a whole. We believe that this feature will become a landmark element and will be certainly a draw card for those entering the view and entering Fourways. So some of the challenges we had was to make sure that the various radii, and every single tube had a different radii, and there was no two tubes that were exactly the same radius. So we needed to make sure that the tubes had been rolled to the correct radius. And before all of this, the 3D scan needed to be done. So the 3D scan basically, we had to correct some of the original design drawings that we received because of the results of some of the 3D scan modeling that had been done. So that proved invaluable because to try and correct this on site after it had been built would have been a complete nightmare. So we basically built everything in the shop, and I think we built the steel in probably about a week and a half, and then we literally had about 2 weeks to install all the steel, and a further week to finalize all the connections and carry out the welding. All this within a fully operational mall. So we couldn't inconvenience the public that were walking underneath the bird cage, and the noise as well needed to be minimized. So steel is by nature of steel is can be a noisy element to install, especially if there's a lot of banging and welding and grinding. So we had to minimize the amount of disruption that we had to the patrons, and that involved having to work night shifts on occasions where we knew that there was no other way of getting around it but by working on certain night shifts. So the versatility of the steel and the fact that the tubular sections could be rolled meant that the steel was by far the obvious choice of material for what was required of this atrium. Sorry, of this Lilly. And as I mentioned, it basically, this is a 2-year culmination of having been involved with Fourways Mall and Flanagan and Gerard at Fourways. So in terms of steel, it wasn't a lot of steel for us. It was only about 5 tons, cost of about 2 million, and this has recently been completed. So the photograph on the right-hand side, you can kind of make out the steel that we included. So what you see there is the second ring. There is one ring towards the perimeter of this atrium, and everything you see there is steel, and it has been cladded as well. So there's a composite cladding that's basically been glued onto our steel, and then you can see it's been lit up as well. So there are some LEDs that have been installed on selected number of these branches coming down, and then what we also did as well is you can see that the roof is also the same color as the steel, so we had to paint everything the same color as the rest of the Lilly. So that involved having Dram do that painting for us. So in terms of Tekla, so again 3D Con were involved with us on this modeling. They took the 3D scan that was done, and together with the engineers and together with ourselves, and look at what is the most the best way of actually doing the installation, and try and reduce the amount of work on the radii. In fact, at one stage we had 3 radiuses or 3 radii on each of the tubes, which would have been a complete nightmare. So we eventually managed to bring it down to 1 radius per tube. But again, as I mentioned earlier, every single tube had its own radius as well. So together with the detailer, who did a fantastic job on this project, the fabrication was seamless, and the installation itself proved to be seamless as well. So fabrication was done here in our workshop. As I mentioned, we literally did it in a week and a half, and we had to be finished in a certain time period to meet the client's deadlines. There was a lot of scaffolding that was in the way. It was going to inconvenience a lot of people, and the quicker we could get the scaffolding down, the better. And that meant having to work extended hours and working night shifts and over the weekends to make sure that at least our portion of the work was done in record time. So this image here is of the first ring around the lift shaft. So this was the busiest ring, let's call it, where basically everything, all of those tubes connected. That's why there's so many cleats shown on this photograph. So these 2 ring sections joined together, and then all the cleats needed to, all the branches needed to connect to this. So accuracy of the cleats was important to make sure that none of these cleats were throwing out the connecting tubes that they connected to these. There's again some of the tubes in the paint shop on the left hand side. So some of them had just a little, what I call a little hockey stick end to it. Some of them were significant. I mean, the one that's been picked up in the air at the moment with an overhead crane showed a significant portion of the tube itself that was radiused. So this is all painted inside our painting facility, and then on the right hand side you can see the finished product being on site. So we managed to load everything onto the flat roof of Fourways Mall, and then from there we manhandled everything into the building, into the atrium, onto the birdcage platform, and as I mentioned, we basically started installing from the top, working our way down. There's just a photograph of obviously we couldn't take everything in one piece, because I think the longest single section was in the excess of 35 meters. So in some cases we went up to 3 pieces to transport to site, and you can see here we're busy splicing the 2 sections, putting them together, welding them, and then obviously painting afterwards. Again, Gauteng structural erectors were involved in installation for us. They did a sterling job, and we always do the more difficult projects with Gauteng steel erectors. Again, these are just some more photographs. So that ring that I showed you earlier in the workshop is now in position on the left-hand side. And then what was also key for us was making sure that all the tubes that come from the outer rings basically tie into the correct cleat. So we helped to mark all the cleat numbers so that we knew that every single tube was going down to the correct cleat itself. Then just on the right hand side you can see some of the rings that have been installed, and we're now starting to put these branches in as well. Again, some more work in progress on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side you can see once the steel had been installed, then the cladding basically followed behind. So it was glued on. It was a U-shaped type of cladding. So basically clipped over the steelwork and was glued on, and then kind of temporarily held in place with masking tape. And then once it was dry, then the masking tape was removed. And then just some more photographs. I think the photograph on the left kind of showcases the beauty of the steel itself. The finished product is spectacular. Personally, being someone who favors steel, I would have preferred to have seen more steel being exposed. But in the end of the day, the only time you're going to see any of the steel is from within the lift shaft itself, which is that's when you can see that the steel is there. Other than that, the steel has all been cladded, so it's not easy to see the steel once it's been cladded. And then just again on the left hand and on the right hand side, you can see the precision that needed to be taken to make sure that the radius was correct, because every single one of these, as I mentioned, was rolled to a different radius. And if you look at the photograph on the left, it almost looks seamless. It almost looks like everything belongs in place, and there's nothing that is out of place. Actually, there was one that we weren't happy with, and we did send it back to the workshop to get re-rolled. But apart from that, everything else, it fitted perfectly, and we took a lot of pride in making sure that everything fitted perfectly. Again, just some more photographs now of the finished product. So on the left-hand side, you can see those window frames I was mentioning. So we basically had to drill into the existing rolled I-beam section. We put in these window frames, which weighed about 300 kilograms each, into place, and it kind of finishes off. If you look at the right-hand side, you'll see how it finishes off the look of the Fourways Mall, or at least the atrium at the view, and it's a seamless transition between the Lilly and the existing atrium itself. Sorry, just on these two photographs, you can also see the LEDs, which just make it a spectacular building. So again, some of the challenges and solutions that we came up with, obviously we couldn't go and pre-assemble the whole thing in our workshop, although we would have loved to. The time didn't allow us. At the end of the day, we actually didn't need to go and trial assemble it, because everything was fabricated correctly and sent to site, and the installation it was seamless. So that really wasn't a challenge for us. I think the biggest challenge really was working inside a live mall with thousands of people passing by every day, and to make sure that we didn't inconvenience any of the patrons and any of the actual landlord itself. I mean, she was very proud of what we did. Okay, then in terms of benefits of steel, there's nothing else really that could work for us in terms of getting the look of the Lilly and getting the accuracy of what was required. So at the end of the day, although it has been clad with a wooden top of a composite, at the end of the day, deep down, we know that the skeleton itself is made out of steel. Quality assurance. Obviously, we had our quality assurance in place, made sure that the steelwork was manufactured correctly within the correct tolerances, and followed all the required testing procedures as well. Painting systems, as I mentioned, we painted not only the new steel, but we ended up painting the existing steel as well as the whole ceiling, the insulation boards that make up the dome itself. So it pops out a lot more once you have a big black background as you have at the moment. And as I mentioned, I think what we're particularly proud of on this project is that, yes, we have been involved with Fourways more for the last 2 years now, and we're particularly proud of what we've done on Fourways more. But I think this was just a culmination of our reward for having persevered and having been involved with Fourways and Flanagan and Gerard over the last 2 years. And when they came to us with a challenge like this, we basically grabbed it with both hands and said, this is something that we want to leave a legacy and at Fourways more, and we want to feel proud of what we've done, and certainly, whenever there's an opportunity of showcasing it, we'll certainly do it, because we are very proud of what we've achieved. Certainly, in terms of once all the restaurants have been opened, I'll make a point of going past it and telling people, if you go to that restaurant, just go see the atrium, go see the Lilly that we've built, and just take it all in, because it is spectacular.